Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Jeanette and Savannah about their similarities and differences as ENTJs. All right, so one of them is a standard ENTJ, while the other is a jumper ENTJ. We're gonna get themselves to introduce themselves, starting with Jeanette. So go for it.
Hello, I'm Jeanette. I'm then the standard ENTJ, so I'm an MF, TE, blast, sleep, play, consume.
All right, and Savannah.
I'm Savannah. I am the jumper. I am TE, FM, play, blast, sleep, consume.
All right, awesome to have both of you guys again. And I want to ask you guys the first question, which is the big elephant in the room, which is one of you is savior control and the other one is savior chaos. I want to bring this to Savannah first with her demon NI here, because something just happened with her traffic and stuff. So I think this is the perfect time to share the story. So Savannah, you're not the standard ENTJ who like overly plans stuff. You are like chaotic. You kind of just wing it. Can you talk about like what happened today and with the traffic and whatnot, with that demon NI?
Yeah. So it's not like I don't plan. It's just that like I think I can always get way more crammed in than possible. And it's like I always kind of feel like, oh, this is so shocking and surprising, but it's definitely like the poor planning. So today it was like I was trying to cram in too many things, and then I didn't plan for traffic and then construction. So then it was like too many things that if I had just maybe slowed things down and scheduled it better and maybe like check the traffic. I mean, those are all planner things that I think I'm like optimistic with, like, oh, it'll be fine. And then it bites me in the butt. So
Yeah.
anyway, this interview was delayed because of me.
Yeah, it's all good. Now, Jeanette, while you were away, Savannah, Jeanette was telling me that she only planned one thing today. So can you talk about your savior control, Jeanette, and also with the sleep savior? Because obviously Savannah had play savior, so she wanted to cram as many things as possible. But for you, you have sleep above play, right? So can you talk about like how you planned today, and you literally only had like one thing planned,
Yeah, well, I actually also do the same thing as Savannah a lot of times. I mean, usually I want to do a lot of things, but it sometimes has to do with the single deciding thing that I promise too much to people, but it's also a fear. I'm really afraid of having too much planned, and I think maybe that's the difference. So that's what happens when I have something really important like this interview. So I'm kind of like saving my energy. So everything I did today was like, oh, how much cleaning can I do today? Because now my energy level is at 70%, and I still have to have some left before the interview with Kendrick. So I was like really forcing myself to rest, and I was in the hammock and all these kind of things to have energy to do this. So yeah, and I've been cleaning and I've been doing all kind of things just to have my desk cleared and all that stuff. Everything for this interview, I mean.
Well, thank you. Let's talk about this. What you guys have similar though. You're both energy dominant. So Savannah, you're kind of interesting in a way that you kind of blow all your energy first before you hit the brakes. Where Jeanette is hitting the brakes first before she it's like, oh, I have something left over, now I use it. So can you talk about that a bit, Savannah? Where like you go front end first with the energy before you hit the brakes.
Oh, definitely. I'm trying to think of a specific example. But basically that's kind of how my day goes. Like, okay, let's cram in as much as we can, and then now it's time to relax. Okay, now let's get everything we can done again. And then like I'll be in the middle of a project and I'll be like, okay, I need to sit down. It's time for a break. And I've seen lower sleep or just like infodom friends who either like are more consistent or they'll just push through that feeling. Whereas I'm like, nope, I need a break. I'm gonna go get some water. And sometimes people are like, what are you doing? But it seems like I'm the same speed as a sleep last person until I'm like, nope, I need a break.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think for me, the way I see it is like I'm an EP, right? I'm like, if I take a break, I'm gonna stop working because the SI is in the bottom, so I don't want to blast or something. So yeah. What about you, Jeanette? You have a little bit of the opposite. So what's going on with you when it comes to preserving your energy first before you?
Yeah, it also depends. Before I got typed, I always told people that either my power is on or then it's off. So I switch between these two modes. So for me, it's like, feels like I usually also do the play first. So it's kind of like I go for it with lots of energy, and then I kind of crash, but I crash really quickly. So after an hour or two, I'm really like, oh, I have to rest. So let's say if we have a party and I know I have to prepare for 5 hours, I can't work for 5 hours. I know I will have to work like 30 minutes, rest for 30 minutes, and 30 minutes, then rest, and so on. So yeah, it's really a demand. I mean, I have to rest, but I also I usually also say that at work, for instance, if I work for an hour, I do 2 hours of work during that hour, because it's like my friends say, you're like a nuclear power plant. You know, it's like a complete energy when you work, and then I'm all exhausted, and then I have to rest. So I can't do it like you said, like the Savannah, like the info dominants. They just go on working, like my husband does, for instance. I think he's an ENTJ, and he can work for 8 hours somewhere in the garden and just work, and so I absolutely recognize the same pattern, even though it's sleep first.
So you guys are both consume last. The big difference is, Savannah, you have double feminine, consume last, and Jeanette has double masculine, consume last. Although Savannah, you're a kind of a weird contradiction, because you're a lead gatherer. So it's kind of weird, like you gather, but you're consume last. Like, what the hell is going on here? But maybe you could elaborate on that in a second. So my question here is, so first, I want Savannah to elaborate on like the weird life of EP, like savior, gather, consume last. But the second thing is, what do you guys do when you're resting? Because if you're not consuming, then what are you guys doing? Like, when it's time to take a break, because most people are like consuming something, right? So let's go with Savannah first for this one.
Okay, so I'm sure that people who know me would probably type me as higher consume, because it does seem like I am such a gatherer. In fact, having consume last causes me to be more fearful of like not having the scissors when I'm in the middle of a project. And so sometimes I continue to gather a bunch of stuff that turns out like I didn't really need in the consume end for myself, but I just thought, okay, other people have it, so I might need it. And it's almost like the lazy way to like, if I grab all this stuff, hopefully I'll need it later. And that includes information as well. So like if somebody's like learning about this thing, I'm like, oh, maybe I should know how to do that, even though it's like, you don't have a horse, or you know what I mean? Like it's consume for the self really does have to do with like what you're interested in, what you really need to learn to like continue on. And it seems like I am stuck in certain boxes without really thinking about the size of the box. And it just is everywhere all the time. And then I'm realizing that it's very expensive as well, and like really a waste of time if I'm gathering in the wrong direction and it's not just like what I actually need. It's like trying a bunch of things, and then like if you buy 8 shirts and you're like, I only really needed the green one, but I just thought everybody likes this shirt, so I should get all these just in case. And it's like, you need a sweater because it's snowing tomorrow.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I did see that with like the demon consume gatherer, is like they'll buy stuff but they don't necessarily use it or whatever. Like, you seem guilty for that. So okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and what about you when you're resting? What are you doing? Because most people when they rest, they consume, right? They chill out, or like on their phone, or they're doing something, right? But or reading a book or something. But what do you do when you're resting? Are you just like vegging out, like laying there, like sleeping or something?
I do genuinely like naps, but I don't do them all the time. I used to nap more when I was younger, but nowadays it's like I'll listen to something quiet, like quiet music, that doesn't make me like, it's not for the consume. It's for like a meditative, like thinking about, reflecting. And then, I mean, sometimes I will clean. Like, that sounds so stupid, but it's like, no one's asking me anything. No one needs anything from me. And I'm just like sweeping. And then I am reflecting on just anything I'm thinking about. It seems like it's funny because Reggie and I talked a long time ago about how sleep can be like defragmenting, but that's kind of what I'm doing in the feelings department as well, or values, where I'm like processing everything that happened. And I need that time where it's not chaotic and I can just kind of sort things out. But sometimes I just like to sit in a chair and like look out like side and hear the birds chirp. And I mean, I don't sleep very long, but I just need those little pit stops. Otherwise I get real crabby.
Yeah, we don't want that masculine TE to smack people in the face. So
You don't. You
Yeah.
don't.
yeah,
You really don't.
yeah, it's double activated too. So
Yeah.
all right. What about you, Jeanette? Like when you're resting, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was just thinking, oh, do I ever rest? I was like, is that the typical ENTJ answer? No, but I know sometimes when let's say when I go to bed, I can kind of check my bank account and stuff like that, and it's like really kind of like it won't bother me. It's no people things, and it's just numbers, and or then I just journal, but it's I don't usually journal like what I did today or what I thought about, but sometimes I just like list things or sketch some kind of like some ops theories or something like that, or then just usually I dream about the future. So I'm probably really in my NI, I guess. So I can kind of like kind of create a story in my head, about where I'm going to move and how I'm going to organize my home and maybe a future change in careers or something like that, and it's always positive. So when I think about these kind of things, I get some endorphins and I really enjoy it. And I also like cleaning, or some dishes don't go really in the dishwasher, so I do the dishes by hand and or similar things, and then I can just go into my inner world and also think about these things. I had to write down some things, and I usually I sometimes need somebody else to rest, so I do phone calls, for instance, with my boyfriend, or we can talk for like, let's say, even 2 hours sometimes, and yeah, things like that. So I don't go watch.
Processing buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, poor him. It's my sleep reports most of the time. But anyway, yeah. So I don't watch movies. I don't go to listen to music. Sometimes I try to meditate, but it's usually something different. It's some kind of dreaming. Yeah, and I also watch out the windows and listen to the birds chirp and stuff like that. Yeah,
That's
but I do it a lot.
that's so strange for me to hear this stuff that you guys are doing. Like I was like, huh, weird. But it is what it is. For your specific type. So
Yeah.
all right.
Painting is another one that's meditative for me. I was just gonna add that.
What's that?
Painting.
Oh, painting. Okay. Well, that's kind of consumed though. That is kind of consumed.
Yeah.
The painting.
Oh
little
yeah,
bit.
and I actually play the piano. Yeah, so I do that too to relax.
Oh, okay.
Just
So that's
just for myself.
So you guys have some like you guys are doing some consume, but it's based on
Yeah.
your sexual modalities, because Savannah, you have it in your painting with the visual, and Jeanette has music, right? Playing the piano. Since we're on the topic of consume and sexual modalities, Savannah, your consume is double feminine and Jeanette is double masculine. So can you guys like just share a little bit of like what's going on with that specific sexual modality for your?
Yeah, I don't have any idea what a double feminine consume looks like, but mine is kind of really, how would I say, it surprises me because I don't do it that much. And when something happens, like I think I've said this before in my interview also with you. If I see a nice sunset or something, I'm like completely overwhelmed. It's like wow. So it's like overwhelming. That's how I would describe mine.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Savannah, with the double feminine? You want first.
Yeah, I think yeah, mine maybe does have to do more with like I can see how it's so annoying the way that it's double feminine because I don't know. It's the most flighty thing about me because I don't always know until, I mean, maybe it's what Jeanette said where it like hits you, but I mean, a lot of times I can feel my own feelings through another character with like a movie or a book, or like a piece of artwork that just hits you, or a song that just says exactly what you're feeling in that moment. But it's so ever changing. Like I'll like it one day and then the next day I feel nothing. So it's like the most wiggle worm, flighty, like ever changing. Like I like green one day and then the next day doesn't do anything for me. Or I'll be obsessed with something for like 3 months and then I'll never like it again. It's just so
That's
much
funny.
strange.
Oh, that's strange, really, to me. Actually, I think
Uh-huh.
that could be a way to understand my double masculine consume because my taste will never change. It's,
Ooh.
or maybe if I think about fashion, for instance, you stop seeing it, and then maybe let's say if some fashion that was popular when I was a kid and it's kind of like old now and I don't like it, and then a lot of people start using it. At first, I'm like, oh my God, that's oh, I've seen that before, and but at some point I start liking it somehow anyway. So I couldn't say that it doesn't change at all, but it's really hard. And let's say my husband was he decided that he will be the one who is decorating our living room and deciding how it should be. And I really hated the way he organized the room. And I think he thought I would kind of like get used to it or something. And we've been living here for 15 years and I still hate it. So it's every day I go into the living room, I'm like, oh my God, I could throw up when I see this, you know. So it's that strong and it won't change. So and I don't want to be disappointed either because the feelings are so strong. So also the amazement is really strong and also the disappointment is really strong. So yeah.
I can relate to the disappointment part, but I mean, my feelings on things change a lot, and it's probably, yeah, like I said, seen as flaky, but it also sometimes makes me agreeable and movable for getting along, I guess. But
Yeah, I mean,
again, it's
I'm
consumed,
known
so
for
it's
this, so my friends they all know I'm like this. So it's yeah, it's really hard. There's nothing really I can do about it. So
Yeah.
I just have to, pick my fights.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
but I hide it because if people know, I can easily be manipulated, so I protect it with the TE.
Mm.
Oh, there's the masculine TE thinking that Thrive is out to get you. So yeah. Because Jeanette doesn't have that, right? So because she doesn't.
No, it's like my FI is the dangerous one. I mean, I know I can kind of like trash everybody's vibe or anything with my FI. It's like really this wild
Yeah.
monster there.
Yeah. Jeanette's the monster, but Savannah sees other people as the monster. So it's kind of that's really.
Yeah.
See,
So
Um,
always have to.
and it only happened one time in my whole life, but I'm like, oh, it could
Yeah.
happen again.
Yeah, but I have to be really, charming. We talked about this earlier with Kendrick too, about being charming and those kind of things. So my TE is kind of like protecting the tribe from me,
yeah.
Oh, wow. Huh.
So yeah. Mm. But the thing is that for real, my FI is really you know, it's a little girl. She's really nice, but I think she's a monster. So it's really sad for her, kind of being treated this way by me. So
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. What about you, Savannah? How do you see the same thing? But yours is feminine, so it's a little bit different than Jeanette, you know.
I have a strong fear of crying in public or in front of anybody because it is so vulnerable. And then I know that I project my little girl feminine FI on other people. So like sometimes I'll find someone who I think might be more like, oh, we need to protect her or him or someone. And then I'm like looking out for them, but I'm still projecting my own like by protecting them, I'm like pseudo protecting myself. And it's like, okay, now I'm the big sister role, but no one really asked for that, you know?
Yeah.
Just like
I
if
saw
I
that.
position myself in that way, then no one's going to get to that vulnerable place in me.
Yeah, I saw you do that in that EJ interview with Nina. You know, you're like, oh, I need to protect Nina. You know, I saw that. So I was like, whoa, wow. You know, so yeah.
She's probably just fine on her own too.
Yeah.
She doesn't need protecting. But I just have this weird like, oh, I don't know why, but now she's my little sister. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's it's nice. It's nice. It's not like a bad thing. It's nice, you know. Like it's nice feeling like someone looks out for you, you know. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I do want to say something about your double feminine SF consume though. It's like the good thing about it is that you're always gonna be in fashion because like you know you kind of flow with what's trendy at the moment, you know. So you know if you have someone that's like set in like what they like, it could be like out of touch already in what is like fashionable in the moment. So I think, and you're also visual, so that also helps obviously. You know, and you can change your looks based on like it's also SF consumed, right? So that means it's like how you perceive yourself, you know. So when you're seeing yourself, you can mold it to what's good for the time. So you're never gonna be like that person that's like, you know, you see people in their 40s and 50s still dressed like they were, but when they were in their like teens, and it's like just cringy, you know. So you're never gonna be that person, you know, which is good.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I do give a lot of fashion advice to other people, whether they take it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think
it's still about being true to yourself, you know. You're just like you're like you're sifting through what works for you, but you still have like all these options with what's in style. And then you can keep things that are classic that reflect who you are. Anyway, no one asked, but I always have advice.
No, it was good. I like the advice actually. It's really good. Jeanette was like, whoa, I need to learn this SF stuff, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, maybe we should talk afterwards.
Yeah.
Give me some advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to have a wardrobe which is similar. I mean, I want to have the perfect. I don't have it. You have the dream. I want to have the perfect wardrobe. You know, with you have these systems. You can see them everywhere on YouTube. Also, like the 30 item wardrobe and those kind of things, and things you can combine. And I don't want to renew it. I want to have the same all the time. And I'm really pissed off that fabrics are so low quality now compared to in the 60s or whenever, because we have some sheets left from the 60s and they're so, and they look like brand new. So yeah, I probably will have somebody so close for me.
Yeah.
So I never have to go shopping ever again in my life.
Yeah, too bad there's not many visuals, because like I need like more visuals for me to like ask for fashion advice, because you know, like,
are you saying I need to be a fashion consultant?
yeah, I think you would kill it as an image consultant. I feel like you would kill for sure. You know?
I think so too.
Yeah. All right, I want to ask you guys about your NF now. So NF and ST axis, because Savannah, you have NF demon and Jeanette has NF savior. Actually, so Jeanette, when you actually talk, you say a lot of NF stuff in between the NT. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. And then Savannah is like very ST for sure, you know. So I want you guys to kind of talk about life is like, what your life is like. So with Savannah, for example, you know, having ST before the NF, and Jeanette having the NF before the ST, you know, because that's a big difference for you guys. Let's go with Jeanette first, you know, with your NF before the ST.
Yeah, it's for me, it's really hard to describe things. I can't really pin down, you know, if I think about something that has happened, for instance, among friends or some ops thing or something I think about, I usually, it becomes a woo-woo, you know, it's not like SC clear in any way. And I see it as this big cloud, and it's of course my sleep report. And I thought actually I was an ENFP because I saw this NF so clearly within me. So I usually have to have somebody else, like my boyfriend, for instance, who I type as an INTP. He can state the ST, he can explain what I'm saying. So usually I can talk for like, let's say 15 minutes and I try to explain this cloud of things. And then he puts it down into 3 sentences. You said this, this, and this. Like, yeah, oh, wow, yeah, thank you. And also in the Facebook group, there's another woman who is also blast sleep, but she's ST, TE first, TESI, Toby, I think you know her. And I really,
Yes, play
I
last.
really like I get the same feeling when I read her posts, because she's kind of like in clear ST explaining exactly how I feel and exactly what I'm experiencing. And usually when something happens also, I can say that I feel that that's wrong, or we shouldn't do that. I know we shouldn't do that. For instance, if we have a plan and I've kind of in my head decided that we're going to go to that shop first and then to do this one, and then we go have takeaway, and you know, everything is kind of figured out. And then I get challenged and somebody says that, well, can't we go to this shop before? And I'm like, no, we can't. No, it's not possible. And they kind of ask me that, why can't we? I can't say, I just know it. I can feel it. It's wrong. And in the past, I got overthrown, you know, so they usually
because you
didn't.
couldn't articulate.
Exactly. And then afterwards, everything was, I was right, you know, everything was ruined because we did that. And I said like, well, I told you so, I just can't explain it. You know, you have to believe me. But I say, I feel this way. So, of course, it feels like some kind of superpower or magic because I just know things. But when you can't get anybody along, it's really hard. So you should be happy about the ST, Savannah.
It's funny because I was going to bring up how cool NF is, because there's so much subtlety and picking up on things that are not in physical reality, but like there's so many NF things that are unspoken, that are picked up on, that are a feeling, that sometimes people have a way of communicating those things without any words at all. And having a demon actually is like, it really does feel like, what did you say? What was that thing? Why did you wink? Please tell me in clear details. Because there are subtleties and ways to communicate in the NF that are like sometimes more powerful than like a whole paragraph of step-by-step things. I have noticed that I probably emphasize almost more that I don't know. OPS has made me realize I have a fear of being misunderstood. And so I will put things in such ST clarity so that we're all on the same page. But I think I might be avoiding the subtleties because that's where things get miscommunicated. And then I don't have to put out the feeling part of it. But I will say I have noticed that, I guess like what you were saying, it's like someone's explaining something in the NF or in the NT, or maybe, I mean, SF is still very understandable, but you know what I mean? Like, it seems like I can almost translate it with the play where I'm like, so you're saying this, and I'm clarifying. So in some ways I can see how ST play as a savior helps clarify, helps us get on the same page. And then not to get like more people talk. But I have noticed that some family units that have a lot more, they're missing some ST clarity in their families. They never really communicate what went wrong with conflict. And I am someone who snuffs that out in my life. So I will clarify. So I hurt you with my words in 2008 by saying this. Well, here's what I meant, and I also am very sorry. Can we work past this? Can you please forgive me? And there are family histories of miscommunications from like 50 years ago that come out in detail when I ask these questions. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I do like ST. So anyway, I really appreciate NF. I love it. I love being around people who are NF and NT, and we can discuss things, and there's nuances that I can pick up on that help me grow in those areas. But I mean, I'm very, here's fact, detail, actual thing in reality.
Yeah, it sounds like you can do that. You're like an NF translator because you have NF and ST in your top two. So
That's what I did as a career too. I was in communications and I worked with a lot of like electronic and like kind of, I don't mean to say this in a bad way, but like gaming, nerdy. And so I was a translator with like what needed to happen, what's going on, how can we fix it? Here's your product, that kind of stuff.
Right. That's cool. I think it's a superpower actually, having that NF and ST
in the right place, right?
Yes. Okay, so I want to ask you guys about the big thing now. So you're both EJs, and as an EJ, people problem is going to be like the thing that you're going to be facing for your life. Both your types is a bit different. So Jeanette, you are like you're like an EJ, IJ, IP, because you have sleep, right? So sleep is like IP-ish, and then blast is like IG-ish. Now Savannah, you're like an EJ with EP and then IJ also. So you're like double bad with the FI, I guess you could say. Well, and it's also feminine. But Jeanette, one of her animals has FI in the savior state, right? So when me and Jeanette had like the last interview, I don't know if Jeanette wants to talk about this, but she talked about
It's okay.
It's okay. Okay, good. So during the last interview, Jeanette talked about her open relationship and how she's in an open relationship, and she doesn't believe in monogamy, essentially. So I think this is like a good topic because that's like very IP-ish, even though you're an EJ, because that you chose that is like a big choice essentially, because you could get backlash, especially from like people who are more traditional, right? So
yeah, it's scary.
yeah, it's super scary, but you did it still. So it's and I think that's like you stood up for what you believed in, and that is like super IP, even though you're an EJ, which is really cool in my opinion. So I want to ask you guys about how you personally perceive like the people stuff. So I want to start with Jeanette first, and the pros and cons with like you standing up for your belief, with open relationship versus like the fear of like tribe hate, even though you're an EJ, you're serving the tribe all the time already, but because you chose an IP decision, you could potentially get tribe hate also,
That's true.
Yeah, for me, it's really important to play safe. I mean, I have to be, like I said, like I have to be charming. I have to be, like cute and innocent, and I also have to. I don't really know this word in English, but I have to explain it. In other areas of my life, I need to be. Is it called prudent? Can you call prudent about more things than just how you're dressed and stuff? So I want to be perceived as this good girl, and it's kind of the image I put up. So I have to be a good enough girl, really nice and so on, to be able to say these things which aren't really accepted in the society, so that when I say them, they kind of become accepted because I'm such a person, if you get the point. If I'm a villain or some kind of a rebel, nobody will listen to me. I will be considered a rebel, and I will be looked down upon, and so on. So I want to fight for everybody's right to fight for the FI. So the right to be different, and the right to have different opinions also. I don't really want the group to have to follow one single leader and that leader's message, because I want to have I kind of want to listen to other opinions and ideas also, but I don't want to become the leader. I don't want to be the strong leader who has to be followed. Instead, I kind of like try to be as I don't want to be dangerous to the other leaders or important people. So it's kind of
you're not a gatekeeper.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like two different things I do. One is like I try to talk about these things in a way that doesn't upset anybody, but still keeps the field open for more other ideas, and also about personal choices. So I'm not sure if I'm choosing the open relationship stuff as a means, or if it's really me. I'm not really sure. So this is something I started thinking about now. Is it an expression of my right to do my FI, or is it really what I want to do? I don't know, but maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Could be
Was
both.
that the answer? Was that answer a good answer to your question, Kendrick?
No, it's really good. Yeah, because I can still see like the EJ inner conflict with the decision that you made, even though you chose it, which is it's good that you stood up for that. But but you explaining the inner conflict with that decision is also, I guess, what makes you an EJ.
Yeah, and I'm not really open in every area. It's not like I go tell everybody about this. It's more like at my workplace, people know about it. In this community, people know about it. And my husband and I, we are actually going to have a divorce at some point. And it doesn't have anything to do with this. It's just a different thing. And we haven't been discussing these things so much with, let's say, with his family, or so it's not like I'm in interviews on TV, or local TV or something about it.
Yeah.
It's more like, yeah.
All right. What about you, Savannah? What about you being like a double EJ? Like your IP side, the sleep is the demon, right? And so is your consume. When it comes to doing what you really want or becoming who you want to be, like, can you talk about the struggles with that, as well as like how you perceive the tribe? And Jeanette was talking about tribe hate as well, because you guys are EJs, and when you swing, you become an IP, right? So when you swing, that's when you get the tribe hate, essentially. So can you talk about like your life? Because you're like a crackhead, like you're play blast, sleep, consume. So you're like super tribe, and then you swing to become like super self. So can you talk about like what happens when that like swing happens for you?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, okay, so the interesting thing about being masculine TE2 is that I've always been a proponent of, we all have different FIs, and I want to protect everybody's ability to have separate, unique, individual FI decisions, opinions, leanings, bents, and we should respect and understand those things. So that was pretty young that I thought that. And so that doesn't necessarily mean it meant I should explore my own, or that I would go against, I guess, my perceived expectations from family of origin, and then from friend group, and what people expected at church too, even though that didn't, I don't know, I'm stubborn enough to go against it too, but it was just like, this makes sense, so I'll do that. And then it wasn't until, it's like, again, being double feminine with the feelings is so annoying because I still want to go to the tribe and play. Should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? And honestly, I learned in my 20s how detrimental it is to go and be real vulnerable with my FI, asking permission from everybody I love if this is a good idea, because it's almost taking away my FI. I'm giving it to them to scrutinize, to rip apart, or even if they do encourage me, it's still now theirs, and then they'll ask me about it later. Like now I'm accountable to them because I put it out in the world. And I had to, yeah, do like the whole IP thing where I like, don't talk about it, don't tell anybody about it, work on this project or whatever it is. I should try to put more words to it. I don't know. I need to find a concrete example and I can't think of it because I'm happy. So it's like, I can only remember when it didn't go right. But I guess there are times where even if I like send a picture of a painting in progress, and then as soon as I put it out there and it's not finished, it's already not mine anymore. And then I don't want to finish it. It's the weirdest IP thing in the world. So like in my life where I just like all of a sudden somebody says something about what I wanted to do and what I'm standing up for or what I'm planning. I mean, painting is just a concrete example because I can't think of I can't put words to the NF sometimes. Sorry. Okay, so my daughter had an accident a couple of months ago, and it was really hard on me, and she was in the hospital. And I had a little bit of trauma through that. And I realized it was better for me to process it internally and work through that and not talk about it, because my inclination is to put words to it and process it with everyone else. But it turns into, and this is not a bad thing at all, but for me, I can't do it. It's like people want to ask about it more often and talk about this, that, or the other thing, and they're helping, but it takes it away from me to have the full responsibility of processing my grief, my pain, myself, and working through what I need to do to get past a really hard time and admit that it was heartbreaking and that it was hard for me and that it was hard for her. And it's painful to see my child going through something hard, and that there are steps and layers, and people don't like negative emotions sometimes, or they do, but they still want to bring it up and cheer you up, right? That's both TE and FE. And I had to get to a point where I just don't need anybody, and I'll talk about it when I'm ready. And then when I'm ready, we're good. And I can still be honest about it and I can still cry in front of them, but it's mine now. So that's what I've gone through.
Oh,
Oh, thanks for sharing that, Savannah.
Thanks for asking.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. And I also understood you when you were saying like, you know, you don't want anyone cheering you up with like their FE. You know, you want to process it yourself, conclude it yourself. It almost felt the same way with your painting too. It's like when you showed people, it's like someone else concluded it, so it's not yours anymore. So it feels like you have to finish it first before you show people. Like with the FI, you have to conclude whatever it is, whether it is with consume when you're painting or when you're processing something like really, really difficult otherwise, some FE person will try to like conclude it for you by saying, no, just cheer up, which like ruins essentially. Yeah. Or all right.
Yeah, I can see. Can I just add just
Yeah,
one
go ahead.
thing? For me, it's usually I can absolutely relate to what you say, Savannah. And I need to go through the FI. I mean, hurt and sorrow and shock and these kind of things through the sleep processing. So, and it's really personal. So, for me, it's also it's even hard in front of my own kids to show my emotions and be sensitive. So it's kind of if I really had some bad people issues, let's say at work, I'm a teacher, so things do happen there. Or something else, something I'm shocked about. Somebody sent me a message and was mad at me or something, and I get really upset about that. And I come home and I have to tell my children that I'm really upset. I have really hard things that I'm processing internally, and I have to go in my room and close the door and be on my own because I can't process this in this room, I mean, together with other people. So that's something I hope I can learn. I mean, to kind of let people in that process with me. And I think that's what also my children, for instance, would need. They would need me to not be afraid to take them into this process and be vulnerable. So,
Right. But you have to sleep process it first so that you can communicate it.
yeah,
That's what I had to do. Otherwise,
it's
I would try to communicate it too early. And then it's inappropriate emotions that I wasn't, like I didn't consent to it and it just bubbles up. And then it's not helping me any. I'm just a mess.
yeah,
and
it's
I'm not
both
in
it's both
control
that and
of it.
also I think it's because my sleep processing is savior. It's really like a need. I really have to do it. So it's like when you really have to go to the bathroom or something. It's like I really have to go. So yeah,
Sometimes I talk about it being like a sneeze. Like if you don't have time to sleep process, you can't get the sneeze out, and then you're just like, it's this irritated feeling.
So I will even have this body language like, no, I have to go. No, I have to go. I have to go. Leave me alone. I have to go. I have to sleep process now. And if somebody tries to tell me something, I can be really like lash out or something like, no, I have to go. And then I really go and close the door. And in an hour I come out and I'm like all happy again.
Yeah.
So that's strong. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I relate to that actually. That's really good. I never thought of it that way. Like you need to go to the washroom. Like it's like you need to go.
Yeah. I just have to go. Okay.
Yeah, and if someone stops you, you get pissed off, right? It's like you need to
go.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Excuse me, do you want me to wet my pants? No. It's not the same thing, but it'll be explosive.
Yeah, but this can happen anywhere. I mean, it can happen at work or anywhere. And if it's really too much, or if I have to process too much, let's say if somebody's like pushing me, that's why I don't want to share, because the other people can push my sleep processing further. They can they don't see the process and they don't see that it's proceeding. So in their world, it might be that you're not doing anything, and I'm like doing a huge internal, work.
Right. They'll be like, don't bottle it up, and it's like, I have a process and I need to set a boundary here because you are pushing me in a way that is harmful instead of good.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't say it. I'm setting a boundary here, but you know what?
Yeah, I guess that's the same way with like the TIs, right? You're like, can you show me what you've done so far? Like, no, it's not finished yet. It's not finished yet.
It's not finished yet.
Yeah. But for us, with T's, like, no, but maybe we can see something that could make it better. They're like, no, don't do that, So we're being the jerk in that situation, But we're like the FI.
I think it's really important to translate. I mean, to compare FI and TI so that we are more compassionate and we can understand each other. Because if somebody steps on my FI, it's really, really, really hard, and I have to really stop myself not to step on. Let's say my boyfriend's TI, who's lead TI. So yeah.
Absolutely. I've also noticed, it was something kind of stupid, but I was like flipping through Instagram, and somebody has like amazing TI, and they're good at decorating, And I was kind of picking them apart, like, why would they do this? And I realized like the person next to me had TI, and they were like, why do you keep saying such mean things about what they did? Like, I'm like, oh no, I'm just, and then I didn't have non-OP words to explain that I'm just like being TE and kind of, you know,
Yeah.
it's like a play, picking it apart. And we joke around if we're like on the same page, but to TI, it's like you are picking them apart the way that I would like with FI, you know, like,
Yeah.
and it hurt, you know, I don't know. I'm not
Yeah,
losing my words, but
because
you know what I mean.
Well, TE people, we use the word stupid, right? It's like, that's stupid, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
And the TI is like, what?
Why would you do that?
What? Why would you say such thing? You know, that's so
Yeah,
mean,
you're right.
you know?
I think I said that's stupid. Why would you do that? And then the person was like, "Ah, why would you say that? That's so mean."
Yeah, because I know when people with TE, people call you stupid. You're like, yeah, I'm an idiot, haha. You know, like, you don't care, right? You know,
Yeah, and then when they have TI, oh, don't say that about yourself.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like, you
Like,
know,
oh, I mean,
like,
this is
what?
my identity.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, but it's really, I think it's important. I mean, it's a good tool as a parent to know ops also. I think one of my daughters is an.
Oh, something happened with your volume. Oh, that's your audio saying, "Hey, stop blasting, Jeanette."
Okay, now it's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think my youngest daughter is an INTP, and I was kind of being really childish and silly, and it was something that happened, and I said that's stupid, you know, to a TI child, you know, and she was like, oh my god,
Oh no.
stupid,
Uh-huh.
Oh no.
and then I
Yeah.
realized. No, I just took the first negative word I could find. I didn't mean stupid. I meant something completely
Yeah.
different. So thanks to knowing ops, I could translate, you know, the TE to the TI. So I saved the situation, but it was so close. And she's only 9,
Oh,
you know,
man.
so it's like, ooh. So
Oh
can
my
really.
word. Okay. I have a 9-year-old, my
Oh,
middle child, and she is she's probably NIFE.
oh, yeah, I have an NIFE too.
Oh, an INFJ. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My middle girl is actually also NIFE, and my youngest is INTP, and I think my oldest is an ISFP, consume play.
Oh, they're all totally different.
Yeah, and I think my
Yeah.
oldest daughter is double masculine.
Yeah. Oh
So
wow.
you can imagine the chaos she throws at me, and I'm so exhausted.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Are all
That's
your kids very different too, Savannah?
funny. I have an FI son who has NEF and SI in the middle, and he definitely has masculine SI, but it's so balanced. I don't know what. But it is really funny that the masculine FI first, just is very like we butt heads a lot until I understood ops. And then his very specific way of doing SI is not SE or NI at all. So
Yeah.
for a while it was like, what is going on here? But now I'm like, hey, make a chart, put a list down, and then we'll make it happen. And then he just like goes to town with his ideas. That's really fun. But honestly, for a long time, I was like, not like, it helped me so much with parenting him. And then my youngest is similar to me, but I don't know what she is.
Oh, you have an ENTJ daughter.
Probably.
Oh wow.
And she's probably visual.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
she is you. She is you.
Yeah. I could have told you she's visual really young because of the way she talks. And she'll still be like, I'm seeing something in my brain. And then she like doesn't know how to always blast it because she might be sleep last. I think she's sleep last.
Oh, she's info dominant?
Yeah. She definitely doesn't do the pit stops. In fact, oh man, super young. We have to so with my other 2 children, they probably higher sleep. And then my youngest, it's like they don't know when they're thirsty. You have to like make sure they drink.
Yeah.
She'll get too hot and too cold, and she's ignoring it because she's focused. And even still, now she's 7, and I still have to be like, did you bring a sweater? Is your water filled? Did you go to the bathroom? Because she will just like keep going with everything she's doing.
Yeah.
Whereas my other children, it's like, no, you can move a little more, even though you're hot. You don't have to take a rest right now. But that's more the sleep savior
Yeah.
balance there.
Yeah. I guess the good thing is you can guide your daughter better, because if she is you know, except sleep last, then you know you would know what she's going through, and you would be able to, you know, guide her and even encourage her to use her FI, right?
Yes, it's so good. But right now, every once in a while it can be triggering, because it's like, I don't know how to help you, because you just have to sit. You have to, like, we're at this point where she has to sit alone in a room, and she hates being alone.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how you figure those things out. That's how you calm down. That's how you work through your emotions. I gave you all the tools, and now you really do have to do it yourself. And she acts like I'm punishing her just
Yeah.
because she needs a quiet time in a room.
Yeah,
But
she probably thinks you're mean, you know, you're like,
Oh.
you're like a tyrant.
oh, not the drive, no.
Yeah, the tribe's
I'm
like,
a nice mommy.
yeah.
But what I think is challenging is that 2 of my daughters are savior feeling, and neither me nor my husband is savior feeling. So,
Yeah.
well, he's a double decider, so it doesn't really bother him. But both my feeling daughters, they kind of, you know, they know that my feeling is last. You know, it's not just because I've talked about this, but you can, you know, of course they know it, you know, intuitively. So that's where they punish me in the FI immediately if I don't do what they want.
Yeah.
And what they want is more feeling. So my lead FI daughter, she wants more authenticity from me. She wants me to show my emotions, and she's not afraid of emotions at all. And if we sometime watch a movie together, rarely, I get really all upset because something is happening, and I have to stop the movie for 2 or 3 times, then go jump in some closet and you know, scream or something because there was something awkward there. Maybe it was Mr. Bean doing something. You know, it's really I can't handle it, especially if it's cringy tribe stuff. And she's like, "Oh, you're such a baby, mama. I mean, you're like a 3-year-old." And so for her, it's like I'm immature because I don't use my FI the way she does, and she's already a teenager. And then the INFJ daughter, she wants FE, and when something happens, I don't really, when she gets upset or something, I don't know what to do because I need to solve the problem, and I forget. It's like, oh, you can work on the emotions too. I had a realization again, you know, feminine, and I yesterday that, oh, I can actually change emotions also. It was a big realization, you know, after being
right.
in ops for
Because you're
3
so
years.
masculine. Yeah.
Yeah. And then some of their upset, I actually have something to do because, you know, there's no TE thing to solve. There's no problem to solve. I can't help them, you know, or the thing can be unsolvable. You know, it's like, well, it's evening already. It's not morning anymore. And I can't do anything about the sun, you know, these kind of things. And, but I can work on their emotions. And that's something she has been missing. And since she has savior Effie and she's much better at it than me, so she's upset with me as I'm, you know, lousy at it, you know. But then my youngest daughter, who I type as an INTP, she has FE last. So we have the same need for feeling, the same amount of, you know, the same percentage of feeling is needed during the day. So we're kind of like, you know, balanced. And we both meet each other. And even though we're different, it's like, no problem there. She gets what she needs, and I'm happy. And she,
yeah.
Does she deal with the whole everyone's mad at me and I have to go hide and cry? My son does that. That's why. My IP son, he'll be like, everyone's mad at me, and he doesn't know what he did.
Oh,
yeah, you
like,
mean
your
my
son
INTP
FBI?
daughter? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she does.
Oh, okay.
But it's more that she
Sorry, I
didn't
shouldn't laugh about it.
live up to her own standards, you know. It's
Okay,
more
that
those
makes
kind
more
of things
sense.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
And my son's F5, so it's like,
Yeah, and I think she's Enneagram 1 also, you know, perfectionist and these kind of things. INTJ.
that's hard.
It sounds like when you're a parent, you need to use all 4 of your functions, otherwise you screw up your kids.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's hard.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
And I
word.
haven't, so they're screwed up.
Yeah.
And they need you to do what you just learned immediately.
Yeah. Use all your full of your function, or you screw up your kids. That's a scary thought, right? You know, obviously you want the best for them, so you know,
Yeah.
like, it's like, okay, I have for you guys. You're like, oh great, I have to use my FI, otherwise I'm gonna, you know, mess. My kid's gonna be scarred for life if I don't use it. You know, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's tough.
And then they have functions you don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
I think
that's even harder. The functions that you don't.
but I think you can't do anything about that. It's just you have to work on yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
if we manage our, you know, demons, then everything is going to be fine. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, last question for you guys, and we'll wrap up the interview. So the last question is actually you guys asking each other questions. Okay. So
Oh,
Ooh.
so what do you guys want to learn, either to improve yourself, because essentially your opposite, or jumper standard counterpart, is doing something you're not doing, right? At least not automatically. So what would you like to learn from your counterpart here, that could upgrade yourself, you know, or make yourself better as a person? You know, what can you learn from someone? Or you can just ask a question too that you're curious about. That's also okay. All right.
maybe
So
yeah.
So we'll start with Savannah first, because Savannah's the savior gatherer here. So
Yeah.
Savannah, Jeanette probably needs more time to figure out what to gather. But there you go. So Savannah, what question do you have for Jeanette?
Yeah. So something that really frustrates me about how I play first is that sometimes I feel like I have to check what everyone else is doing and get the information of what needs to happen before I get started with whatever I need to do. And I was wondering how you narrow down first and then get going, because it's like, yeah, I just take too big of a scoop right away. And then there's so much more to sift, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
help.
yeah. I kind of do the narrowing down quite quickly. So it's not a really long process, and but it's really important. So I can just give an example. I wanted to have lunch somewhere out. I was in another town where I'm not usually, so I don't know the place that well. And I needed it to be a nice experience also, you know, to not just go grab something somewhere. And I also had an app where I had lots of like discount coupons and stuff like that. So I needed to kind of go through the options very quickly and narrow down, can I even use that app? Is there something? And it was quite late also, so lunch ends at 2 or 3 in Finland, and sometimes even at 1 o'clock. So and after that, it's much more expensive if you go to the same restaurant. So, and this was like 1:30, so it was really late for us. So I had to do it really fast, and so I just go through them, the alternatives, one by one, and I'm like trying to find the no. I'm not like checking how is this good. I'm checking, is there anything bad in this? Is there some way to remove this from the list? So that's what I'm doing. Um, is there something, let's say, okay, this restaurant closes at 2. We won't have time. Okay, off the list. You know, I kind of search for those things first. Do you know what I mean? So in that way, I can really quickly narrow it down. I don't have to think about all the 10 things that are important about that restaurant, the menu and
And you're
everything.
in the NT, yeah.
Yeah, so I just think about what will be the stopper here? What will be the thing that will clean it off? And I might have somebody with me who knows more, and I can kind of do this process and ask them, like, also like, is that a nice place? You know, because I don't know. And if they say
Right.
no, okay, keep that one, you know, and so on. And then I'm down to 5 restaurants or 2 or something. And then I can put more time into it and go and check, okay, what is the menu like and so on. I don't have to check the menu for 20 places because I've already done this narrowing down. And the same goes for, let's say, if we're going for a picnic and I open the fridge and I can have a quick look. It's the same, I can't really explain that process, but it's the same kind of process. Can I use that for picnic? No, 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 no. So it's the no game. So that's how you do it.
A no game. Okay.
Yeah. And
So yeah, I get in
so
that
and
mode
then when you
second. So if I
yeah,
could just get there
and then
quicker.
when you
Anyway, keep going.
kind of I work as a teacher and I teach science and I have to create lots of things because there's not so many good materials out there. And I have to go with a good enough idea. So and I also try to think about the cost benefit. I mean, there's so many processes going on. It's really hard to explain, but it's like, how long will it take to create this? How long will it take to do it? And if I have ideas, let's say if you two would spit out a lot of ideas to me, I would try to find in each and every one of those. I try to find the no. Kendrick gives an idea, and it's
Wow.
like, that's too hard.
Okay.
You gave an idea.
Sorry, can I
That takes too long.
interject here?
Yeah.
So you started with the time frame, which creates the box. So now
Yes.
you're in the box and you're itemizing what in the, so the box is the time frame. Okay, keep going. Sorry, I
Yeah.
just love this. Okay.
And then when you kind of, and of course you have to have a purpose. I mean, that's the first thing. So with the restaurant thing, it was like I wanted to be cheap and cozy, and well, that's enough, you know, and maybe not really unhealthy. So kind of those 3. And if I have an assignment at school, it could be that I want to train cooperation and a certain concept. So I can't just pick any task from some textbook or workbook, you know, for them to do because it won't meet my goals. So
Sure.
I think about those first, and it's like, so I check: does it meet this? Does it meet that? Does it meet those? And then also, is it possible? Like for instance, I want to have some. We have a subject at school which is called something called household something. You learn how to cook and you learn how to
Sure, like
manage
economics.
manage your economics and stuff like that also. And I was going to teach amino acids and lipids, and I was thinking that maybe we could create a vegan menu where you try to get as many of those essential amino acids and fatty acids as possible, and the students will have to convert between units also, so they also train the math in it. And I want it to be an assignment which has a purpose. So you create it for somebody, you kind of create a list with criterias and what kind of foods you can use, and then you kind of sell that to another student in another group who's going to create the dishes and cook it, you know.
Cool.
So there's a purpose for it. You don't just do it because I say so. It's kind of like something you have to do very well. So then I also, the purpose is that I want the students to learn what is you know, to work with TE, you know, work for the group, you know,
Yeah.
to do some, not just, you know, to concentrate and problem solve. And, you know, we have a lot of problems in our society and we have to work together. So I want to create that kind of mindset in them. And so when I create something, it's like, can I also have multiple purposes in what I'm doing, you know?
Right.
And because I have so little time, I have to do many things in one. And so then I have to do that no game. Otherwise it won't work.
Makes sense. Cool.
So what I see when I, let's say if I talk with somebody who is, let's say my NTP boyfriend, if I tell him about this idea, he wants to expand it and wants to have much more amino acids and also sugars and all that stuff. And I tell him, no, we can't, because the cost benefit ratio will be bad, and we have to have. So the narrowing down is the key there, I think.
That's really good, Jeanette. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, even for me, sleep last, I'm like, oh, I'm picking up some stuff here I can use. What about you, Jeanette? What question would you have for Savannah that
Well, I didn't have much time to think now. anyway, yeah. Actually, I have two things I've been thinking about. One is, I'll just tell them both. One is how I will get my T to become more masculine. I mean, how do you think? Maybe that's even the most important question. When something happens to me, somebody blames me, for instance, or if there's some kind of conflict or something, I always search the fault in myself, and I'm always like, I can't protect myself in any way, kind of, because the TE is so feminine. So how do you think about the other person in a situation like that? You can create some situation like somebody's trying to sell you something, and maybe you think the price is too high, or maybe you think something is done in a wrong way, and the other person doesn't agree with you, and it's important. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to plug this in.
Yeah, no problem. So what goes through your mind about the other person, let's say, if you get the question?
If they're gonna, okay, so you're thinking that you need to speak up because they're taking advantage of you or something like that.
Exactly.
Like, things are suspicious. So I would actually kind of, when I see things are not square, there are two things I do. I'll either let them keep talking, and then I kind of use their words against them and catch them in something. And then I'm like, see how it doesn't make sense? Because I'm just straightforward and I speak up, right? Like, okay, so you said this, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. Some people are thinking it in their mind, and I just say it out loud. And I like put them on the back foot, because I don't need to be tricked by them. That doesn't need to happen. So I would maybe be like, okay, so you're trying to sell me these vitamins because you feel like it would improve my health, but are you thinking that this would be best for me because of this? Because you said this, but you're telling me that it's going to make me lose weight, and I need more energy. I don't need to lose weight. I would like to gain muscle and just be able to have longevity throughout the day. So you just said one thing, and that this works for everybody, but you didn't even address my concerns. So why would I want to get that from you? It doesn't sound like it's a good fit for me, and you didn't even explain. You're just trying to sell me on this thing, but I don't need to be sold emotionally. So tell me how this works for me. So that's what
so you kind of
actually, yeah.
It's like you
It starts
you
with
you tell them that they have to explain to you, and it's not like, because
it starts in your mind positionally. Like, I'm not a shrinking, plant here. I am, I don't know. You just it starts in your mind. Like, where am I on the hierarchy here? You're trying to sell to me. So I'm not the dough here. I'm the one who you want to sell to. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just
Actually,
just
I do the
positionally how
same,
it
but I
sounds.
have to become angry first. It's like
Oh,
there's some
okay.
switch in my head that makes me see the other person as a child or something.
Mhm.
Uh, that they are kind of, because then they become lower than me, or not, not a child, but a childish grown up, which is worse.
Mhm. Makes
So
sense.
the shift has to come first, and then there's no problem for me to have those words, and
Right.
defend myself and so on. But before I can do that shift, it doesn't happen. It's like, maybe you're right. Oh no, maybe, it's really strange.
Oh, yeah. Well, some of that's EJ stuff too that we have to get over.
Yeah.
I would like to please you. Um, I guess the other thing that I feel a responsibility for the tribe's well-being in like a strong, like I've noticed that being masculine to E, I feel a heavier responsibility for the others in a way that has more to do with being in charge. Not that I'm like top dog, but I definitely see myself as middle management at least in
Mm.
any social setting. Or, or sometimes I feel like I'll be the spokesperson. Like if we're all at we're going to lunch, but it feels like jury duty, and I'm the spokesperson.
Mm.
And I want to get everybody on the same page. So I'll speak very quickly and then I'll reiterate what other people are saying and what their feelings are or their values are. Like, okay, he doesn't like tomatoes. He doesn't like, he would prefer vegan options. I mean, this is just lunch stuff, but you know what I mean? It's like I have a scrolling awareness, so then I can take charge. And I think that's a lot of what I see in my masculine TE. It's not always about going to lunch. That was just an easy
Mm.
example. But what was your other question? Sorry.
The other one, yeah, yeah, I'm not sure if I have framed it because I haven't been sleep processing it enough,
Yeah.
but it's about play. I've realized that a lot of things I do at home when I work, I mean, not work with my work, I mean like picking up things that have fallen on the floor and I clean the kitchen and so on. I realized that that's probably play. So it's like SE stuff pinging me.
Yeah.
I see a painting on the wall and it's kind of like slightly, um, I have to straighten it out. And um, I see things all the time. It's like um, never stopping. So it's like pinging me. Maybe that's also the masculine SE. I don't know, but it's kind of like really draining to me. So
Mhm.
I would need to really declutter my home and so have less things
Right.
pinging me. And it's demon. Uh,
Mhm.
and I can't turn it off. And it's like, uh, so what is
My
it like?
husband
What?
is play last.
Yeah, yeah,
If you're
but then
saying,
then they don't see it. I mean, like my husband is also play last. I've typed in him play last, and he's an INTJ, so it's the same play as mine. But he tells me that, well, Jeanette, uh, we have to start. If we step over something that's lying on the floor, we have to pick it up. He says, and I'm like, I pick up several hundred items a day at home. Uh, uh,
yeah.
and I don't think he knows because I think he thinks nobody picks anything up because he doesn't, uh, and uh, and I skip picking some things up because I have to save my energy. That's the sleep. So it's like I can step over lots of things because otherwise my hands would go like this all day. So I don't know what the question is, but how can you live with being savior play, or doesn't it exhaust you, or do you also is your home completely decluttered because you have, I don't know, how is it possible? Yeah, I don't know if
I
you get the
mean,
question. Help! I need help.
so, okay. So, okay. I don't know how to answer this because,
I don't
I
know if
mean,
it's a
part of it
question
really
either,
is
but yeah.
because, so my husband is play last and he hates the chaos. So some of that is more than I would be. Like he has less
Tolerance for it, you mean?
tolerance for it.
Yeah.
But I have to have, you know, like visually pleasing stuff or I feel like depressed.
Yeah, me too.
But that
yeah.
doesn't mean like knickknacks or like collectibles, you know. It's still kind of, I guess it's not like this wreath serves a purpose, but you know what I mean? Like there really is kind of like, why do I have this here? There's usually a TE reason as well. Oh man, play. Chaos.
So
I don't know.
is it like you get a kick out of cleaning, or is it like, you know, or is it you're not bothered by it, or can you prioritize? I don't know, because I
Yeah, I would
can't.
say I prioritize it without thinking about it. And it ebbs and flows. So like at certain times I know the kitchen's going to be clean and then it's going to be messy at this time, and I just I'll get to it in a minute, but I do have like a cleaning rotation throughout the house. And I always have to have one room that's like perfect and like the safe haven so that anyone can go there to relax.
That's a good
And
idea.
then there are always projects in the dining room that are like off and on, but by Thursday they have to go, you know? So then the weekend, the dining room works for if we randomly have company all of a sudden, or if we just wanted to eat in the dining room. And then, yeah, I think that I probably have more going on than if I had an I hire that constantly rotates and is ebbing and flowing. Like I would probably have a stricter meal plan instead of like, okay, this is on sale, so now I want to make tacos 2 days this week. And then that's what I do. And then I get extra salsa. And then, you know what? Chips aren't on sale. And we're not going to do chips, even though we usually do. So then what am I going to do? I'm going to make tortillas and then I need extra cheese. You know, like those are the kinds of plans I do where I put play in there. Even though I still go in with a list of like, this is how the week's going to go. Probably there's a lot of like switching around. And sometimes it even drives me crazy. Sometimes it's not healthy. And sometimes it works really well. And our life can just be like very streamlined, even though there's chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just the
That flexibility is great, Savannah. I like the flexibility, and you can like adapt in a moment.
I mean, I use play also for planning my dinner, and it's like I usually don't have a shopping list when I go to the shop. I kind of like get my ideas there, and I well, that's probably the double masculine consume also. So when I come home, I'm too tired to make it, but I have big plans when I'm in the shop.
Yeah.
But it's but I can also, you know, create almost anything from nothing, you know, if I haven't had a chance to go to the shop for a while.
Well, it sounds like Savannah's more realistic, you know, because you have big plans and then it doesn't get executed. But Savannah's, she just wings it. But
but if I'm at home, I do it that way, and it will happen if I'm at home. It's just the shop contra at home transition, which is difficult for me. Because maybe it's the NI which is unrealistic. I don't know. Anyway,
well, the lead play, I think, is what makes it more like realistic for both ends. You know, either when she goes to the shop and when at home. So no matter where she is, she will
manage. Yeah, exactly.
She can go with the flow. Yeah, she can go.
Go with the flow.
Yeah, and you're not out of energy when you come home. Yeah, for me, it's like the dream of the perfect streamlined NI solution to everything, which is unreachable, and then my SE is masculine and it's always destroying my NI dream. So I guess I get kind of you know, annoyed and irritated, and I just have to live with it. You know, I have to just embrace the chaos, and having 3 kids, and my husband is a sailor, so he's away every second week, and it's gonna be messy and it's gonna be horrible. And my oldest daughter, she's really, really, really active, and she loves chaos. You know, it's really like the
Yeah.
best thing ever is to create chaos. So
Yeah.
that's my home. It's chaotic. So
All right,
yeah.
guys. We'll wrap it up here. So
Mhm.
I appreciate both of you coming out and doing this interview. I know you both had like a really busy summer schedule, especially Savannah, and then Jeanette, you got sick and stuff. So I appreciate you guys coming out and talking to each other and myself about you guys' difference. And I did see like massive differences between you guys, even though you're both ENTJs, which is like super cool of for me to see. Yeah, high five. ENTJ high five. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to try to.
Yeah, she's low
playing
place, like she's low
Yeah.
place, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, there you go.
Just kidding.
All right, anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. And then Jeanette's obviously nighttime where you are. So yeah, have a good night for you. And we'll see you
Thanks. It was
around.
really nice.
All right. Take care, guys.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.